Hello everyone, my name is Jan and welcome back to Yu-Gi News. We're not going to mess around today, we're going to get straight into it because there has been a lot of new cards released and some news about Firewall Dragon as I mentioned in the last episode. So if we type in Firewall Dragon, this card is now unlimited. Now what's this going to mean for Firewall Dragon? It might not be played as often as it would, but it will be seen now in the Cyberus deck more often. Because it is obviously now it's got its TCG effect. Well, OCG effect, which means we're going to be able to see it a little bit more. Anyway, without further away, let's get in with the new cards. So Konami has released a lot of new cards, so we're going to try and cover them all in today's episode. If not, I'll cover it in episode 4 of this. So let's get started. First, we have Pendulum Treasure. Effect: add one Pendulum monster from your deck to your extra deck face up. You can only activate one Pendulum Treasure per turn. Now, it's got a harsh once per turn condition, that is completely fine. But it means you can get Pendulum monsters that you want from your deck into that extra deck zone, because Pendulum monsters can be pendulums from the extra deck as well as from your hand. So, that would be useful immensely. So, if you're playing like an Odd Eyes deck, for example, Pendulum Treasure would be good for it, since you can get like Odd Eyes Phantasm Dragon in the extra deck's face up already. Then be ready to special summon it to the field. So that is very good. Next we have Gusto Venfir. Now Gusto monsters are not a good monster in the a good archetype in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. This is because it's like a synchro rank disease play deck, but it's really slow and really clunky as well. So let's see what this Tuna monster can bring into the mix. If a face-up Gusto monster on the field is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, and this card is in your hand, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card was normal or special summoned, you can send one Gusto monster from your deck to the graveyard. You can special summon one Gusto monster from your hand to the field. You can activate each effect of Gusto Venfir once per turn. Now this helps out a lot, especially if you want to get a quick out synchro monster for Gustos. But however, it can only fit within a Gusto deck, not a wind attribute deck. Which is kind of a shame, but you gotta deal with it. Next we have Gusto Tailwind. It is an equipped spell, equipped only to a Gusto monster. If it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. You can only activate each effect of the following effects of Gusto Tailwind once per turn. You can banish this card from the graveyard to discard one wind monster. Add one Gusto Spell or Trap card from your deck to your hand. During your main phase, you can activate each effect based on the equipped monster's level / rank. But saying that, Gusto monsters don't have a rank higher than 4, so this will be interesting. Level 4 or lower. Level 4 or lower. Special summon one Gusto monster from your deck with a different type than the equipped monster. That's not bad. Level 5 or higher. Special summon one Tuna monster from your decks. I mean, that helps with rank 4 plays and as well as just any rank, synchro plays and rank 4, rank 2 plays, depending on your style. But again, it's only limited to Gusto monsters, and I don't really see Gusto monsters being competitive. So I'd wish the Gusto monsters good luck. Next we have Grand Doremicorde Muzia. This is a Fairy Link 2 monster. It requires 2 Pendulum monsters. Okay. During each main phase, you can add one Pendulum monster from your hand to the extra deck, or face up and if you do, place one face up Pendulum monster in your extra deck to your hand. With an odd pendulum scale, this card's With an odd pendulum scale, if the added monster had an even pendulum scale or with an even pendulum scale, if the added monster had an odd pendulum scale. Oh, it means the odd and even numbers. That is really confusing. This card effect is really confusing. If you didn't understand what it means, then you would not know about this. Or, with an even pendulum scale, if this card add monsters that had an odd pendulum scale, when this card is pendulum summoned, when you pendulum summon a Doremichure monster, you can target one of them, add one to reach your pendulum monster with a level equal to the target monster's pendulum scale from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Grand Dorimichiodo Musea once per turn. That is a mouthful to say. And the effect is really confusing, so I hope when this card is released, it has an easy effect to read. Please, Konami, spare us. Anyway, so next we got some Chronomaly monsters. I don't mind the Chronomaly archetype, because this is an Xyz base archetype, and they've got some pretty good number monsters as well. I like it. Anyway, Chronomaly Vimania. This is a machine rank 5 monster. It requires 2 level 5 monsters. Once per turn, quick play effect, you can target one face-up monster on the field and add one Chronomaly monster or Xyz monster in your graveyard. The first target gains a attack point equal to the second target until the end of this turn. Then attach the second target to this card as material. Once per turn, when your opponent's monster activates effect, quick play effect, you can detach 2 Xyz materials from this card and negate the attack. I mean, it has an effect where you don't use its pendulum, when you don't use its overlay units, then you have an effect that does. So that's actually not bad, because it means you could resource them. So they're also both quick play effects, so they can happen within any player's turn. That's really interesting. Next we have Chronomaly Placement Triferium. If you control no monsters, or all monsters you control are Chronomaly monsters, you can pay 500 life points immediately after the effect, resolving one normal summon. Chronomaly monster monster from your hand. Sorry, my brain is reading. My eyes are reading faster than my brain is able to cope with them. So sorry, and I'm stuttering. Hang on. Anyway, if your Chronomaly or number Xyz monsters would activate their effects by attaching a material, you can send this card to the graveyard instead of one of those materials. You can only activate the effect of Chronomaly Palace Tremulous once per turn. I mean, that's not bad. It really isn't. As well as it being a continuous spell card, you can just normal summon, then special summon, go into whatever play you want. That is actually pretty good. Sorry, I just need a drink. After my own mouthful. After the mouthful of words I just had to say. Next we have Chronomaly Megalore Globe. You contribute this card to special summon one Chronomaly monster from your deck, except, obviously, the card's name. Obviously, this monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard, except the turn it was sent by its own effect, except it was sent there by its own effect, you can banish one Chronomaly card from your graveyard, except this monster, and add it to your hand. You can only activate each effect of it once per turn. So I mean, that actually is pretty good, because you can get out your level 5s or 6s from your deck, and then go to its next Xyz play. So I can see that happening. I think Chronomalys will possibly start to become, well, you know, a very competitive archetype next. Depends how that goes, though. It depends how it goes. Next we have Chronomaly Esperia's Glypher. During the main phase, target one Xyz monster card you control or in your graveyard. Special summon 2 Chronomaly monsters from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And their levels, and 1 level higher than the monster card's rank, but negate the effects. And immediately after resolving this, Xyz summon 1 Chronomaly Xyz monster using those 2 monsters only. You can only activate the effect of this card once per turn. I'm saying this card so I can save I actually have to take good, so I can actually hold my breath in and take a drink. Sorry. I've had to be doing a lot of speaking today at work. So I mean, this trap card is pretty good. I can't say anything else about it. It's just good. Next we have Chronomaly Archetypes. Acambaro figure. And that second bit Spanish, so yeah. Anyway, this is a level 5 rock effect monster. It is a chronomaly monster. If a chronomaly monster you can control would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can discard this card instead. If this card is in your graveyard, you can pay 1,000 life points in your pay 1,000 life points, special summon this card, but return it to the hand during the end phase. You cannot special summon monsters. Special summon monsters this turn you activate this effect except chronomaly monsters. So that means Xyz or the actual deck monsters. You can only activate the effect of this monster once per turn. Again, I can see this being good. There's no doubt about it. Chronomalies will possibly start to become competitive. Now we have a really interesting one. This is a Cyberus Pendant monster called Anti-Genesis Intelligence MEPC. Visaya. I'll just call it like that for now. It has also a pendant scale of 0. So this is interesting. Pendant effect. Any non-monster cards sent to the graveyard is banished instead. Interesting. You can reveal this card from your hand and one of a pendant monster from your hand, or one card from your pendulum zone to the extra deck. Face up, and if you do special summon this card, you can only use the effect of Antagonist. I'm just going to call it Intelligence Messiah for now, because I can't read the first bit, I'm sorry. Once per turn. If another monster is normal special summoned while this card is on the field, send that monster to the graveyard during the end phase. So I mean, it depends how this card will be used. Like, it's mostly a defense wall tank for a level 8. I would most likely use it for its pendulum effect, not its actual monster effect. So yeah, that would be interesting. Now we're going to go on to some of the newer ones. First we have Protective Spirit Logiath. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard by battle or by card effect, you can target one monster on the field. It cannot be destroyed by battle this turn. You can only activate the following effect of Protective Spirit in the field once per turn. If a fairy monster you control activates its effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and one attack position monster you control. Banish the opponent's card, and if you do, change the monster you control to the defense position. I mean, it's not bad for its effect, but it's just not gonna. I won't ever see this as competitive. I'm sorry. For those that like fairy monsters, I'm sorry. Next we have Spriggan's Interluder. Interesting. It's a continuous track card. Sorry, I just needed the drink. Excuse me. Anyway, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can return one Spriggan's Xyz monster you control in the extra deck and apply one of these effects. Negate the activated effect. Or special summon one level 8 or lower level 8 monster from your graveyard. If an Xyz monster you control leaves the field by a card effect, you can have all monsters your opponent currently control lose 1,000 attack until the end phase. You can activate each effect even when this card leaves the field. You can only activate each effect of Spriggan's Interlude once per turn. I mean, this relates to the archetype I mentioned before about the Stigmaticas. So this links into their storyline. So that's interesting. Now we have Deep Sea Spiriteria. God, that's a mouthful. It requires Deep Sea Diva, and one or more non-tuner monster. Once per turn, quick effect. You can discard one level 4 lower monster in the graveyard. Discard one level 4 lower monster. This card gains 800 attack until the end phase. If this card was synchro summoned, if this synchro summoned card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one level 5 or lower or higher water monster in your graveyard, except this monster. Special summon special summon it defense mode. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except water monsters. You can only activate the effect of each effect of this card once per turn. I mean, this just helps like the Atlantic monsters, and Diva and Deep Sea Diva is like a semi-limited, I think it is, or is it unlimited? I believe it's unlimited. It was on the semi-limited list for a while. But yeah, that's interesting. It's also a tuner monster, so it helps. Now we are coming into the Stigmatica cards. This is called Bond of Stigmatica. You can special summon one of your Fallen of Albus. Special summon one of your Fallen Albus that is banished. If this card is in your hand or in the graveyard during the end phase. If this card is in the graveyard because it was sent this turn, you can activate the effect of Fallen of Albius. You can send this card You can only activate each effect of Bond of Stigmatica once per turn. Again, that is a complete mouthful to say. I'm sorry that I am butchering this, but I am trying. Anyway, let's get into the last few cards. The last 4 cards of this list. Next we have Black Cowled Dragon Albion. This card's name becomes Fallen of Albus while this card is on the field or in the graveyard. If this card is in your hand or in the graveyard, you can send one Fallen of Albus or one Stigmatica spell or trap card from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Apply one of these effects, depending on where that card was sent from. From the hand, special summon this card, or from the deck. Place this card to the bottom of your deck, then draw. Then, if it was placed from the hand, draw 1 card. You can only use each effect of Blackade Dragon Albius once per turn. Now, this one is kind of interesting because it's a standard level 8 play monster with 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. But it does relate, I guess, to the Fallen of Albius. Because from what I know of the archetype so far, he was once a great spellcaster that then fell to darkness by dragons. So by going into necromancy, into summoning dark beasts or dragons with various creatures and fusing them together due to its effective fusion summon. So that's interesting, and I want to see how this ends. Next we have Swordmaster of Bewitch Iris. This is a spellcaster. During your main phase, if a monster whose effect was negated is on the field, quick play effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. If your opponent special summons a monster, you can activate one of these effects depending on where this monster was special summoned from. The hand, special summon one monster from your hand. The deck, draw 2 cards. Or, the extra deck, destroy one of the monsters whose monster special summoned from the extra deck. You can only activate each effect of Swordmaster of the Bewitching Iris once per turn. Now, this is actually a really interesting card because no matter what your opponent summons, it has either has a positive effect on you or a negative effect on them, and I'd love to see that. Also, it also makes people to have a different strategy, instead of special summon from the deck. It's what most people mostly rely on, actually, in the modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So, it's like a cost, basically. If you special summon a monster from your deck, if your opponent special summons a monster from their deck, you get to draw 2 cards, which then help boost you. And if they special summon a monster from their hand, you can special summon a monster from your hand. But if they special summon from the extra deck, they can just draw one of your extra deck monsters. Saying if you saved up to get, like, Borrowed Dragon, for example. If you special summon that from your extra deck, then it can start to destroy that. It can then destroy Borrowed. So, it's kind of got a positive and negative. But the positives are for you and the negatives are for your opponent. So that's pretty good. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see this card in a lot of decks now. Now we have the final 2 cards. Eternal Cyber. Target 1 Cyber Machine Fusion Cyber Monster in your graveyard. Either return it to the extra deck or special summon it, ignoring its summoning conditions. If a Machine Cyber Fusion monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect. You can banish this card from the graveyard instead. You can activate the effect of Eternal Cybers once per turn. Now this relates to the Cyber Dragon archetype. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people in the old days would just either bring out Chimera Fortress Dragon. But this is related only to specifically Cyber Fusion monsters, which aka are made from Cyber Dragon. For example, Cyber End Dragon, which is a very popular anime card thanks to Zane Truesdale. So this helps it a lot. And then finally we have Attachment Cyberon. This is a dragon effect monster. However, it links to the Cyber Dark monsters. You can target one dragon or machine cyber monster you control. Equip this card from the hand or field to it. That monster equipped gains 600 attack. If this card is sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, you can target one of your dragon or cyber or machine cyber monsters in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only activate the effect of Attachment Cyberon once per turn. So this means basically it confirms that cyber darks and cyber monsters should actually be properly be used in a deck, as well as making an attachment between dragon and machine monsters, combine them together. So it brings out a lot more interesting plays. Anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this, and to those that actually do watch these videos, even though if you don't leave a like, I'm still happy that you guys actually watch the videos, because it means you like my content.